We're back now to answer your legal questions, and joining me this week is Lacosia Roberts with the Southwest Louisiana Law Center. Thanks for coming in, Lacosia.
Thank you for having me, Miss Agnes.
All right, let's get to our first question. In Louisiana, do debt collectors have only a certain amount of time to sue for payments?
Yes, ma'am. The short answer is they do, but it depends on which type of debt we're talking about. For instance, for oral and written contracts, there is a 10-year time limit within which any claims can be brought for a breach of a contract. If you're talking about an open account, and that's generally a credit card or medical accounts or loans for cars, there's generally a 3-year time period, and that 3 years begins to count from the date of the last credit entry on the account, a purchase, a charge, or a payment. If you're talking about a money judgment, there's generally a period of 10 years in the state of Louisiana, and you begin to count from the date of the judgment, which is the signing of the judgment by a judge, and if there's no appeal. But if there is an appeal, then the period will begin counting from the day the appeal is finalized. And also, if there is a promissory note, then that prescription period is 5 years, and that begins from when the time payment is actually due.
All right. How do I know if I have a personal injury case? This is an interesting one.
You know, Miss Agnes, we get a lot of questions from people sometimes because they're typically of the thought that only a personal injury case can exist if there's a car wreck. And that is not the case. A personal injury case is simply a legal dispute in which one person suffers harm from an accident or an injury, and someone else might be legally responsible for that harm. So you have examples such as, of course, motor vehicle accidents, medical malpractice, slip and fall, animal bites, food poisoning. You know, if someone caused cooked food and you became ill, that harmed you, that created an injury for you, so that would be considered a personal injury as well. There are factors to consider when determining whether or not this is actually a personal injury case. How did the injury occur? Who is at fault, and how significant are the injuries? Now, with the third factor, the significance of the injuries, that is usually where you start talking about damages or money. So if there is an injury caused and is determined that someone else is at fault, the next thing you're going to look at is how significant are my injuries, and if there are any damages that I may be entitled to because of the injuries sustained.
All right. Thank you for that answer. Thanks so much for being here, Lacosia.
Thank you for having me.
Well, if you want your legal questions answered, you can email them to us here at news@kplctv.com. We'll send them along to the folks over at the Southwest Louisiana Law Center, and you'll get your answers every Wednesday right here on 7 News at noon. Remember, civil matters only, please.